we mentioned how the sukkah is supposed to be your place of residence during the holiday of Sukkot. It's supposed to be the place where you eat, where you drink, where you learn. We said the Gemara said certain types of learning, maybe learning that's intense that you need a little bit more. We call Yishuv Hadat. Maybe that you need more clarity of mind, more space, more air to concentrate. That type of learning you would do outside the sukkah, but other learning you do in the sukkah. Um, that's how we're supposed to make our sukkah our main points of residence during the holiday of Sukkot. Like as we said yesterday, it shouldn't just be that I come to the sukkah, I eat in the sukkah, and the rest of the time I don't spend in the sukkah. You're really supposed to be spending your day as much time as you can. You're supposed to be spending in your sukkah. Now the Gemara talks about the proper respect that you're supposed to have um, in this for the sukkah. So that's on Chavtet Lamed Aleph, on 29a, 29a1, towards the top of the page. Okay, it's Amarova, the second paragraph. Amarova, mani mishtaya, things that you use for drinking, cups, drinking cups, right? Those drinking cups, the metaltala, they allow to remain in the sukkah. That means after you finish drinking, you had a cup of wine, you had a cup of soda, or whatever. Those things are not, so to speak, items that are not respectful to leave a nice cup. Even if you finish, it's not disrespectful to leave that cup in the sukkah, even though of course you want to keep the sukkah clean, and it's not considered disrespectful to leave those cups in the sukkah. However, mani michla, but plates you ate, after you eat and you'll have your plates, if your food is finished. There's some people that they say, what, in the house, I'll clean up later. You know, I'm tired now. There's some people that say that we'll clean up in the morning. We'll leave it for the morning. But that you're not supposed to do when it comes to the sukkah. It's not respectful for the sukkah if you're going to have your plates that you ate on and you left them out on the table, even though nobody's coming to the morning. But it's still not respectful for the sukkah. Money bar mitalga. When it comes to your food plates, after you ate, they should be outside. Take them outside the sukkah. Um, some say that we're referring to like a pot that you shouldn't bring pots in the sukkah. It's not respectful to bring a pot in the sukkah. That's how some learn that's what it's referring to. Look at the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch is in Siman Tov Reish Lamed Tet. We want to welcome Michael back, Mr. Silverman back. We've missed you, but we hope that you are back and better than ever, as the expression goes. The Tov Reish Lamed Tet in the Shulchan Aruch, when it talks about all 7 days you make your house temporary and you make your sukkah permanent. Morris, if you want to send to the group that we're on, morning Ralph. So it says, kli achila, the utensils of eating that you use for eating, like pots and plates. The Shulchan Aruch says pots and plates. The Shulchan Aruch says klei achila, and the Ramah puts in, after you eat, pots and plates have to be out of the sukkah. You can't leave it. You can't leave them in the sukkah. So the Chafetz Chaim discusses, and he says, from the language, it sounds like in the language of the Ramah, which is the Ashkenaz rabbi in the Shulchan Aruch, it implies that only after eating you got to get the pot out of the sukkah. But while you're eating, if you leave having the pot in the sukkah, if you want to bring the pot in the sukkah, and let's say bring the pot and pour the soup into your plate from the pot, according to this opinion, it might be allowed to bring the pot, the serving pot, into the sukkah. However, the Chafetz Chaim says that the world is careful. The minhag is to be careful not to bring a pot in the sukkah, even before eating. And they are concerned for the more strict opinion that does not allow a pot in a sukkah. That's Tosfos' opinion. The Tosfos learns mana de michle, our Gemara, when it says you food utensils, what is it referring to? Tosfos says it's referring to pots. Because pots, usually you have a separate place in your house that you have your pots in the kitchen, and then you have in your serving room where you eat. The dining room, that's where you eat. You don't bring the pot to the table. So therefore, there is opinion that says that on Sukkot, you should not bring the pots to the Sukkah. By the way, in the communal Sukkos, in places where you have people live in apartments, and they share a Sukkah, like places like the Lower East Side or other places, that becomes an issue. How do you, when you want to bring food to the Sukkah, you want to bring soup to the Sukkah, you want to bring other food to the sukkah, and let's say you're serving, having a lot of company, how to bring it to the sukkah? Are you allowed to bring the pot into the sukkah, and then to serve from the pot, to serve from it? Even if people are going to do that, you should immediately get the pot out as soon as they can. With definitely it sounds like the world is more careful not to bring the pot into the sukkah. I've seen that certain people for Sukkot have like a special, special type of thing that they like. It's like a three little pots that come one on top of the other, and it's done in a very respectful fashion. I wonder if that's done because they want to try to make it not as respectful as possible, bring a pot in the sukkah. But again, the issue here is the great respect we're supposed to have for the sukkah. So whether we're referring to the plates that you should not, you shouldn't leave plates that are dirty that you finished eating. Don't leave it out. Just get it out of the sukkah, and or being careful about not bring a pot into the sukkah. Mr. Vitesh, Ralph, we are on 29A1 on the first side. Oh, but we're gonna see what type of lamp we're talking about. You're ahead, Mr. Vitesh. So now the Gemara says, "Chatzva, a chatzva v'shachil bar mitaltala." A chatzva and shachil are supposed to be outside the sukkah. So what are those items? Those items, a chatzva is let's say a jug that you use to draw water. So a jug that you use to draw water, so that type of jug is supposed to be, you don't want it. Now the question is that you shouldn't bring that pail into the sukkah at all that you drew the water from, or is it that immediately after you pour the water into put the pail into the sukkah, get it out of the sukkah right away? So in the comment, some understand it means right after let's say you drew a lot of water, and now you want to go ahead and you have this bucket that you drew the water in, and you brought the bucket into the sukkah, you poured the water into a pitcher, then you got to get that bucket out of the sukkah. That is how some understand that the Aruch LaNer says that only after you pour the water from the pail into the pitcher, get the pail out. Get the pail that you drew the water in out of the sukkah. So that's the pail. The different types of pails. One is a pail made out of earthenware. One is, let's say, made out of wood. So you got to get them out of the sukkah after you use them. in contrast to the cups, your drinking cup, your cup you can leave in the sukkah. It's not considered disrespectful when a cup to leave in the sukkah. Good morning, Mr. Habe. Now the Gemara says, Shraga b'metaltala, a lamp that's made from earthenware. So an earthenware lamp, that's how some say it's talking about, that's how Rashi says it's the type of earthenware lamp. So that has to be, so if one opinion says metaltala, you could bring this lamp into the sukkah. And one says you got to get that lamp out of the sukkah. V'lo pligi. Now it would seem if one says you can't bring that lamp in the sukkah, and one says you could bring the lamp in the sukkah, it seems like they're arguing. The Gemara says they're not arguing. Why not? Ha b'sukkah gedola, v'ha b'sukkah katana. It depends if it's a large sukkah or it's a small sukkah. If it's a small sukkah, there's a concern. Some understand there's a concern in safety. The Gemara is talking about a safety concern that it might go ahead and blow up the sukkah, burn the sukkah. Maybe if you have such a small sukkah, let's say a sukkah of 7 tvachim by 7 tvachim, which is could be anywhere from 20 something inches by 20 something inches. That means, Mr. Bit Ralph, how wide is this? It's maybe 30 inches. So imagine you could have a sukkah that the whole space, the whole area of the sukkah is the size of this bima. It's very small. What did you say? Yeah. And so according to this shot, see, if the problem is that it might be in danger of fire, so it would not make a difference whether it's made out of earthenware, the lamp, or whether the lamp is made out of other types of materials. It's a danger. Others learned the Gemara that the issue here with the lamp is not a fire issue. It's not that there's a safety issue. Rather, earthenware, after you use the lamp it becomes it's made out of clay, it's made out of mud. It's more disgusting. It becomes repulsive, that type of lamp. And because of its repulsive, because of that, and that's really what the Gemara is referring to, how you respect the sukkah. So when you have a lamp which is like that type of lamp in a big sukkah, so some say that the fact that it's in a large sukkah, it becomes it blends with the thing. It's a big area, so it's not as noticeable, this type of lamp, and therefore, even though it's made out of earthenware, it's not considered disrespectful. But when
it's a decorative, Rabbi, a decorative lamp that gives light, as opposed to one of the other lamps that have all the soot and the ash and the oil, and it's messy.
So earthenware, in general, they refer to earthenware type of material. After you use an earthenware lamp, it sounds like it becomes, like you said, messy, dirty, and therefore that's it's not respectful for the sukkah. But that's only, some say, if you have a small sukkah. So you bump into it and you see it, it's highlighted constantly because you only have a small area. But if you have a large area, they say that it's not a problem. So there's many interpretations of what this means with this lamp that we are referring to. If we look in some of the commentaries over here, some say that the issue here is you might burn the sukkah. Bringing the lamp in the sukkah, and if it's a small sukkah, there's more of a concern, like we said, you might burn the sukkah. What did you say? Right. So maybe what you would do is you would, many of the sukkot had 3 walls. And because halachically, a 3-wall sukkah is fine. The 4th wall is open on the 4th side. So if you would do is, if you have a small sukkah, you leave the leave it outside. Don't bring the lamp in that it could go ahead and catch on fire. That would be your what you would do. By daytime, you have no problem. You don't need the lamp by day. And by nighttime, as we know, a small amount of light illuminates a large area. So I would, say that you keep that little lamp right outside the sukkah, and that will light up enough of the area that you should be able to go ahead and eat whatever you need to do in the sukkah. The Ritva says when we're talking about he learned that when the sukkah is very small, the lamp is going to take up room. And if you bring the lamp in the sukkah, you're not going to go ahead and have proper use of your sukkah because it takes up too much room. And that's not the way you live. The sukkah has to resemble the way you live throughout the year. And the way you live throughout the year is you live with a certain amount of space. And when the whole sukkah is so small to begin with, we're talking about a minimum type of size sukkah. So that would be, like Rashi emphasizes, the sukkah. Rashi says, interesting, the sukkah is 7 tvachim by 7 tvachim. He understands that when the Gemara says a small sukkah is the problem, we're talking about the smaller size sukkah. So if you go ahead and you make that small, now you make that working space even less by bringing in this lamp. So therefore, that you should not bring in a lamp for such a small size sukkah. Some understand that. Okay, so these are different. Rabbi Yonasan Melonil has an interesting shot. He says you can't bring a lamp in a sukkah. It doesn't make a difference what. Again, lamp. We're talking about a fire lamp in those days. We're talking about electric lamp because of the smoke that comes from the lamp, and that smoke might bother you, and you might leave the sukkah. We want you to stay in the sukkah, Mr. Haber, right? And if you're going to go ahead and have what? And if you're going to have this small area, a small sukkah, and you have and it's smoking from the lamp, so that would be a problem. So so there's many, like we said, there's many different shatim. They list over here 5 reasons why maybe you shouldn't bring a lamp into the sukkah, and it also might depend, and there's difference of opinion, what lamp are we referring to? Are we referring to any type of lamp? It doesn't make a difference what the lamp material is made out of, but if we're worried about the smoke, if we're worried about the taking up space, or we're worried about it's going to burn down the sukkah, it doesn't make a difference what type the material the lamp is made out of. Or some say that the concern is because it's not nice, it's not pleasant, and they're not pleasant. This is specifically like Mr. Silverman was talking about, a certain type of material, like an earthenware material, that after the lamp goes out, after it's finished, it's not nice. It's repulsive type of thing, and therefore we want you to have a certain type of respect for the sukkah. The sukkah is supposed to be something, that's respectful type of. You don't bring things that are not respectful, or things that are disgusting or not nice or not pretty, or these type of things into the sukkah. We want the experience of a sukkah is supposed to be a positive experience, that when you do a mitzvah, it's done in a nice way. And therefore, if you're going to bring this earthenware utensil into this small area, small sukkah, it's not going to look nice when it's finished, when the light goes out, or whatever the issue with the earthenware utensil is, not that it's not pleasant. Therefore, we don't want you to bring it into the sukkah. Okay, Yordu Kishamim. Now the Gemara continues. We spoke about if the rain comes down, and that will exempt you from. And the Mishnah says if the rain went down, an amount of rain that if you would have this bean pottage, this bean food, which is if it would go into this food, it would ruin the food. That's considered that's considered enough rain that you have a right to leave the sukkah at that point, because the level of uncomfortability that it has the ability to ruin your food would be enough to be that you're exempt from the sukkah. So now the Gemara says, Yordu Kishamim. It says, if the rain went down, so the Gemara says, and it says, Mishetisach HaMikbah. And when the mikbah is something that's a food that's like any cooked food that's like congealed, that Rashi says it's not soft, it's not liquidy, it's not thick, it's in between, it's like congealed, it has a certain amount of thickness, that's called a mikbeh. Now the question is, what type of food are we referring to that the rain would ruin? What type of food that we're talking about? There are all different types of porridges that a person would have that certain foods take longer for it to become ruined by the effect of rain, and the other types of porridges that a small amount of rain would ruin the porridge. So what type of porridge, what type of porridge are we referring to? So the Gemara says it's referring to a porridge made of beans. Tana mishetisrach hamikvah shel grisim. If it would ruin a porridge, this type of you cooked up the beans, it has a certain amount of liquid in the beans when you cook it up, and it's more like it sounds to me like it's a thick type of soup, right? How would you translate a porridge, Mr. Hafer? What would you, right? Morning. What would Google say? How would Google translate a porridge? Right? It says with what? Combination of liquid and a solid, right? Making some sort of right, a porridge. So that would be the but what is the porridge made of? You have many different items. So here we say it's made out of beans, which the Mishabru, which the commentaries say doesn't take a lot of rain to ruin it. What? Like oatmeal. Oatmeal is a good example. It's a mix of water with oats, has a certain thickness to it. It's not hard, and it's not so soft. That's thank you very much. That type to blend it. So if and it's the Chafetz Chaim says that's a small amount of rain. You don't need a heavy rain to go ahead and ruin a porridge made out of beans. Maybe porridges made out of other foods will take more rain, but the halacha is that that's the contribution of this rabbi. He's saying that it's made out of beans, and even that's sufficient. If a rain comes down, that would be sufficient. If it would ruin the porridge, that's the time that you call mitzta'er. That's called that you're exempt from the sukkah. And the Shulchan Aruch says the following. We'll take out the Shulchan Aruch and Taf Reish Lamed Tet. Listen to what he says. Very, very important. He says like this. So the Shulchan Aruch says, if it rains, you could go into your house. You go into your house. What? And how much rain? When it goes into the sukkah, it's interesting. It says tipot, droplings. It's interesting. It uses that it rains. It uses the word tipot, drops of rain that if it would fall into your food, it would ruin the food. Even a cooked food, like we said, of beans. And the Chafetz Chaim says in the Mishnah Berurah, this type of item gets ruined very fast by a small amount of water. Comes the Ramah, the Ashkenaz rabbi, and he says, let's say you don't know how much is that. How much rain would ruin? Have you done a test to see how much rain would ruin, Mr. Michael? Have you done a test? How much rain would ruin your bean porridge? You know how much rain that would be? I don't think you made a test. So the Ramah you haven't made the test yet. So the Ramah has a good test. He tells
this year we had a washout on the first night.
Right, but I'm happy to say that the first night we waited a certain amount of time and we made it. We got into the sukkah, and yeah, it took time, but we made it and we got in. So the Ramah says, if you don't know this size, this amount, you should estimate if this amount of rain would go into your house, if the amount of rain that's coming now through the sukkah, through the schach of the sukkah, would go into your house and you would leave your house as a result of that, you wouldn't stay in the house because it is it's coming on you. That is, now you know you've met the criteria, and you could go ahead and you leave your sukkah. So that would be the way that to estimate if there's enough rain. Good morning. If enough rain came down to leave the sukkah. Okay, now the Gemara brings a very interesting story. Abaye have a Yosef Kamei the Rabbi Yosef Metaltala. Abaye was sitting in front of Rabbi Yosef in the sukkah. And Noshev Zika. And what happened was a wind came. And the Kamaiti Sihuta. And what happened was the wind, the strength of the wind, created some of the splinters from the schach to come. Some of the little pieces of wood, little chips of wood, call it a splinter, came off the schach into the food. And what did the rabbi say? And Amalu Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef says, you know what? I need to go. It's time. Good morning. We have to leave the sukkah because of this uncomfortability of the splinters that are coming down. So we're not talking about, morning, David. We're not talking about that this wood was dangerous, that a big piece of wood. We're talking about little splinters coming off the schach. It's not and going into the food. So you're saying maybe that's dangerous because of the
down, water's going through the stop.
Right. So like we said, if enough water would come through the schach, you would leave your house. That's the sign you could go out of the sukkah. Here we're talking about some splinters come into your food. So you know what you could do? Remove the splinters from the food. You can. It goes onto your food. What'd you say? So okay, but I presume that's the right. I mean, you can live there. What happens in your house? Something comes. Let's say there's an issue from your ceiling, and some little pieces from your ceiling will come into your food. Are you going to leave your house because a little something from your ceiling is going into your food? You would clean up you would take it out. Let's say a fly goes into your food. What do? You leave your house because the fly goes into your food. You go ahead and you take it out. I mean, hopefully no flies go in anybody's food. But so what? Why is it? But the rabbi said, I need to. We have to go. Let's take our stuff out of the sukkah. I can't eat over here. I can't stay here. So the Gemara questions the rabbi, and it says, so Abaye, who was sitting in front of Rabbi Yosef, he says, because Rabbi Yosef says, he said, we have to take everything out. The Mishnah gave a certain standard. They have to meet a certain standard in order to leave the sukkah. It has to be a certain level. Like the Mishnah says, when the porridge, let's say that bean, cooked bean soup, whatever, that thick bean cooked porridge that you made would get ruined. And the splinters would not, the splinters will not ruin the porridge. Your bean porridge, if rain would come into it, it would ruin it. But this is not an amount of discomfort that it wouldn't ruin your bean porridge. So why are you leaving the sukkah? Amalei. So if Yosef says that, good morning everybody, this halacha is subjective because lididi, myself, Rabbi Yosef says kiva danina daitai. Since I am very finicky, there are certain people that are very finicky, extremely sensitive when it comes to, let's say, cleanliness, right? If there's a little something, they can't handle it. So he says, myself, I am so uncomfortable having splinters coming into my food that this is like it reached the level of rain ruining the bean porridge, because my level of discomfort, and being that's my level of discomfort, I'm exempt from the sukkah. But I wouldn't stay in my house. I wouldn't be comfortable enough to just sit at my table in my house if the splinters are falling in, and then I'm going to just be removing the splinters. And therefore, I'm exempt from the sukkah. The same way I wouldn't stay there in my house. I wouldn't stay in my sukkah. Because the sukkah, how do you like that, David? Yeah, okay, temperament. You know what? There's different strokes for different folks. Some people have certain we'll call it sensitivities. And his sensitivity, there's certain people are so, like some people, if they missed a shower, it's like they feel dirty. They feel dirty, right? It's not like, you didn't take a shower. So good. So I didn't take a shower. I'm going to go take a shower. But there's a feeling of dirt that they feel on themselves, even though they're not really dirty. They're not sweating. They're not dirty. But people have certain the things that's level of sensitivity. Someone wanted to say something? Michael, you want to say something?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So that's what the Gemara said. By the way, you should know that what David said, that there is a Gemara that says when a person who's finicky, the Gemara says people who get angry and people who are very finicky, their life is a very difficult life. It's not easy. It's not easy. What? It's true, but we're talking about people who are not suffering from emotional, but they're making their life more difficult. People, we all know, people who get angry, they're constantly, it's a difficult life for them because they're constantly finding fault, and they're constantly, it's not a life. And we don't say, but it's not a life, and that's what the Gemara says. Being so finicky, you go out to eat. You want to go. You can't eat because you're so sensitive. You can't. You're missing. The guy's missing out of life. You can't do certain things, and you feel uncomfortable. You just feel uncomfortable. That is something that we. It's not a good thing to have. So the Gemara continues. Tana Rabbana. God bless you. You were eating in the sukkah. The Yordet Shamim, and rain came down. The Yorad, and you, as a result of the rain, you went down. As we know, the smell. What do you mean you went down? Because the sukkah, it was common in those days. The sukkah was on the roof, just like in Israel today. Many of the sukkot in Israel are on the roofs of the building. So if you went down, and then you went down, and then you started eating. And once you started eating, then the rain stopped. So I got to go back up to finish my meal up. So we say no. The first night of Sukkot, we say if the rain stopped, you need to go back to the Sukkah. If you didn't eat in the Sukkah, if the first night of Sukkot, if you started, was raining like this year, and then it stopped raining, you would have to go to the Sukkah the first night. But it's a special. But the rest of Sukkot, if you started eating it was raining, and you started eating in your house, and then it stopped, you don't have to go ahead and go back go back to the sukkah. But once your meal is over, then you got to go ahead and go back to the sukkah. You want to go to sleep, go back to the sukkah to go to sleep. Or let's say having another meal, then of course you got to go back to the sukkah. Again, in general, during the holiday of Sukkot, if let's say you want to go ahead and eat in the sukkah, but it's raining, it's coming down hard, and you set up your table in your house, you started eating in your house, and then the rain stopped, you don't have to stop your meal in the middle to go back to the sukkah. The only time you would have to stop your meal in the middle to go back to the sukkah would be the first night of Sukkot. If it stopped raining and you didn't go, you have to go back to the sukkah. Okay, we'll see more about this on Monday. Happy everybody is here today, and all the best to everybody. Beautiful
Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat.
Rebbe. Shabbat shalom,
Thank
Rebbe.
Michael, welcome back.
Thank you, Rabbi. Good to
Thank
see you.
Good to see you. Yes.
Shabbat shalom, Rebbe.
Shabbat shalom. You too. Goodbye.